Hello, thank you for joining me. So this is our fourth video in our series, how to build a meter, electronic meter. And what we're working on is a meter cap. And what we did in the previous videos, we put together our sketches in order to drive our design. Remember, it's kind of a test question here. You need to have sketches drive features which drive our model. So we always start with sketches. And there's actually one element that precedes that, as our sketch plane. If your sketch plane, you put your sketch in a plane, and with those sketches you do something 3D with it. And that's pretty much the method that we're following here. So we have our sketches in place. There's some reference geometry in here, some sketch elements in here that SolidWorks is not going to consider, and those are construction lines and center lines. But solid sketch lines, SolidWorks will consider. So let's go ahead and extrude this. So right now we should be on the front plane. If we go to the front view, you can see that. And what we want to do is we want to make sure on that front view that we extrude out in this direction over here. So let's go over to our extrude boss base, and we want to go out 200 millimeters. And the reason it isn't giving us a preview is that we have a number of different areas of enclosed geometry, so it automatically pops open down here with this blue rectangle. It's asking for something in return. It's asking for what sort of enclosed contour, enclosed geometry you want to select for this particular feature. There's a couple things you could do. You can select the areas. Selecting inside of here, it'll give us that. But the thing about that is it's going to exclude this area, so if we want to include that, we'd have to click in there too. Or, if you want to clear the selections, just right-click inside of there, go to Clear Selections. Another way of doing that is actually clicking on the contour itself. If we just click on that circle, it'll consider that. So that kind of saves a step. We could do it in 2 steps rather than 3. You save 33%. While we're doing that, we're going to go up here to Draft. We're going to put a draft angle on that. We're going to make that a draft angle of 2 degrees. And what it's going to do is it's going to taper it down, so it's going to be a little bit thinner on top than it is on the bottom. Green check mark, and we're in pretty good shape. So let's do a couple different things here. Let's assign a material to it. Go to Edit Material, and tell you what, let's make add a plastic perhaps. So let's go beyond steel, iron, aluminum alloys. Let's scroll down to plastics. There you are, and perhaps ABS. We'll do ABS plastic. We're going to apply that and close. Now let's apply a color to it. So if we open up our display pane, we're going to go to the appearances section of that display pane. Right now we have a little dot up here that's white. Just to be consistent with the model I've showed you before, let's go ahead and make that yellow. You can make it whatever color you like. So I'm going to choose my basic colors here. Right in the middle of the spectrum. Green check mark. Now we have that all ready to go. Let's go ahead and name this feature. We're just going to call that the base. Okay, next one's going to be a cut on the top. So let's go ahead and choose this circle, or that surface. Go to Sketch. We'll draw a circle out there, and you'll notice that the origin now is projected onto that surface, so we can use that for reference. And what I want to do is I want to create a 12 millimeter wide curve up there, so to speak. Type in 12. So that looks good. And let's go ahead and extrude that down. I think we're going to extrude that down about 15 millimeters. So let's go to Features, Extrude Cut. Type in a value of 15. It's going to remember that 200 millimeter value that we had before, but we're going to type in 15 this time. And we're also going to put a draft on that too. And this time we're going to put a 5-degree draft on that. So now we have our meter base. We have our top cut, we'll call it, or maybe our front cut, since it's going to be in front of the meter. So we're going to go ahead and name that. And if you look at that square on, if we click on that surface and go to our normal to, we can see a little bit of shadow. We can see that this curve is actually the thinnest part of our extrude up here. And we can see a bit of the wall down here and a bit of the wall on that side too. If we were to section out, you can probably see that a little bit more dramatically. Choose the right section view. And you can see it that way too. So that's kind of what we like. And when you're doing plastic injection molding, you probably want to have these drafts in here so that your part will come out of the mold fairly easily. Next thing is going to be the shell. We're going to do a shell feature. We're going to choose the back of this. And with the shell feature, we want to make that, and according to our model, it's going to be 8 millimeters. So let's go ahead and click on this. If we pre-select it, it'll automatically just go ahead and start the command for us. It's going to select it up here. We're going to make that 8 millimeters and go do the green check mark. So just to make sure this is correct, Let's go ahead and do that section view again. Just make sure that there's no interference up here. You want to make sure that the shell isn't going up here and trying to resolve sections up here, or areas up here where it really doesn't need to do that. So that's coming along pretty good. Next thing we want to do is we want to put that tab on. So just like we did before, we've already drawn the geometry for that. Let's go ahead and just borrow that geometry. Let's click the space bar, go to the front view, so we see the square on. Let's go to the base feature up here, go to our sketch, and let's right click on that sketch and tell it to show. If you just click on the sketch itself, it kind of shows it in the background, but as soon as you start doing other things, it disappears. But what we want to do is we want that to show. So now that it's showing, there's a couple different ways we could do this. We could borrow this sketch and reuse it. I'm going to show you both of these ways, but let's do it this way first. Let's go ahead and click on this surface here, go to sketch, and this time we are going to have to initiate the sketch command. Go to sketch command, we're going to do convert entities, and you want to make sure you don't have anything else selected. If you had this back face selected like that, and went to convert entities, it would select the edges down here, and it may not be exactly what we're looking for. So you can see it put on the very exterior edge down there for the convert entities. I have a couple different windows open, so it's taking a while for it to regenerate over here, but sometimes it does take a few moments for the first initiation of the convert entities command to take hold. But typically not this long, so I hope it doesn't crash on me. There we go. So you can see that black line. That's not really what we want. We can take that black line. You can see the on edge sketch relation here. We're going to go ahead and delete that. Get out of the convert entities command. Click on that line, we're going to delete it. Instead, we're going to go back to convert entities. We're going to click on the select chain, and then we're going to click on that line, and it should select those two arcs and those two straight lines. And if you do that, go to the green check mark. And if you look in the back over here, you can see that the bottom of this is penetrating where the shell is going to be, so it's going to be inside the solid. And when we extrude that up, it's going to also follow and incorporate itself into the base feature. So what we want is a thickness on it. We're going to make that 14 millimeters. So let's go to features, extrude boss face. Let's make sure it's going in the right direction. It's not going there, but we're going to make that 14. To change the direction, you go up to these arrows over here and you change its direction. And green check mark. Let's go up here to hide that sketch, or you can right click on any of the sketch elements and tell it to hide. There we have it. We're almost done. The last thing we want to do is put in our hole wizard. But since this video is getting a little bit long, I'm going to go ahead and save that feature for the next film, and then we'll go from there.